Hello everybody and welcome along back for some more snooker action, and this time it's the round 2 and it's still RonnieOSullivan featuring on the main table against Pengcheng this time around. So looking forward to this battle after the Rocket was off to a great start yesterday, producing a whitewash against Julian Boyko. At that time of asking, can he take it to the same level? He doesn't take it to a level above that, because it's still going to be the best of 9 frames, but you would expect a little bit of a more competitive match. Yesterday, I think Boyko will be disappointed with the performance that he managed to put in. And let's see if Pengcheng is going to be able to take at least one of those frames away from the RonnieOSullivan story. And by the way, we already had a massive upset here and a massive shocking exit of this year's China Grand Prix. Judd Trump has lost out to Matthew Stevens earlier today in a very exciting decider there. Ali Carter is another top seed that lost his battle against Stan Moody by 5 frames to 3. So these two are probably the only two huge names that have been knocked out in the main draw. Of course, doesn't feature John Higgins after he lost out in the qualifying round to Liam Pullen there. And we're about to get going here. I think it's very interesting to see what we're going to witness in RonnieOSullivan. He's got Julian Boyko to go through as the first round. Then he's got Pengcheng. Then we already know that the winner of this match is going to play Stephen Maguire there. And he's going to be up against David Lilley or Jack Jones in the last 16. There's still no real confirmation there by the referee that we're going to begin very shortly. And now it will be. So, a little fizz bump there from Ronnie and Yao. So, let's see what the first frame will bring. It is going to be Pengcheng to break off and needs to be off to a great start now. Probably needs an absolutely flawless performance to get anywhere near getting the better off RonnieOSullivan there. But of course that won't be on his mind at this moment in time. And he's going to be all about trying to produce something of a performance against someone that I think you would admire a lot, as a lot of people do in in China and in around the world of snooker. But for now, it is RonnieOSullivan to get us off on the way here. After a decent break-off shot there from Pengcheng, and wants the cue ball to travel a long distance there and hopefully land on the cushion here, as he has potentially left out a red there for Yao to take advantage of into the left corner. So could be an early chance now for the Chinese player. Hasn't won too many matches on the tour so far. Got his tour card in this season, so got 2 years of that to go. And let's see right now if he can get himself on the collar. And it looks like he just about can there. So the yellow is going to be potable into its own pocket, but the problem is going to have to be trying to land himself on the red. And the view is going to be limited, so I think we're going to see the cue ball being sent in towards the bunch of the reds, as the red is certainly in and the yellow will follow. So it's a nice shot there and a nice introduction by Pengcheng. The problem is, of course, the position that he finds himself in is still very much bunched up at the moment, so has got a lot of work for him to try and do, but has got a great start of a long pot and then a great positional shot on the yellow as well. So let's see right now, as he needs to get the cue ball into the bunch of reds, hopefully get himself up on the blue ball, but doesn't look like that's going to be the case. And if he does want to pop this blue, it has to be taken into the yellow pocket. Hasn't developed any other reds really after that shot with the cue ball being sent into the bunch. So probably a logical shot now would be send the green up towards the right hand cushion or some way around it, and just send the cue ball on top of the ball cushion there. So he has gone for the shot on the green there, so it's a decent shot selection in terms of he keeps the break going, but it looks like it's only going to be for a single shot at that time. Gets himself 7 points, and I think it's time to play a safety shot. This is why I don't think it was the right shot for him to play. The room to get himself on the red was always going to be very, very marginal. He decided to go for the gap that was there. And let's see if he found any sort of plan there. Don't think he has, and he needs to find a good position on the cue ball. May just about got away with leaving one red quite close to the right corner, so the break will end on just 7 points scored there. Let's see what Ronnie has got. He got a chance now to lead himself into the break of the opening frame, or does he have to settle for a response with a safety shot? And the cue ball is going to go right below the green there, so that's going to be handy there for O'Sullivan. And the black is not going to be in the perfect position either. So it's all about the next couple of shots are going to be massive here for Pengcheng. Because if he wants to get the cue ball safe, he can try and do that, but with the way the reds have been spread out right now, it's going to be really difficult for him to try and stop someone like RonnieOSullivan. And for now, just send the cue ball down the table. Wants a little bit of the bounce of that red. And let's see if he's left a red on there potentially for Ronnie. I think he's going to be safe there at that time. But of course, he's going to concede a momentum anyway. With the cue ball being so close to the reds on the lower part of the table. Means that Ronnie pretty much can have full control there of the white. And just doesn't want to see it drop into the green pocket. And that's exactly where it's heading. So Ronnie did have full control of the cue ball. But he managed to scuff that shot badly. In the end, it's 4 points that go the way of Yao here. And it's more importantly going to be the ball in hand for him. And a chance to do something with the cue ball right now. Can try and send it in towards the red of a right corner. And with a deep screw, can try and land himself on the pink. But wants to make it as straight of a shot as possible. See what's going to happen from this. It could be a massive shot there for him, but he needs to make it first. And he didn't take the red on. So this could be a big miss there. But the question is, has he given anything away there to Ronnie? Has he managed to escape from that mistake? I think it was always going to be tricky for him. I think the good news is he's got the perfect position on the blue for his next shot. But of course, missing the red didn't help him. And let's see what Ronnie's got. After a couple of bit weird shot selections there for him. He decides to go just for a safety matter of shot. So still no points there for the 7-time world champion, who's undoubtedly leading the poll by 93% there. So serious contention there for him. But so far it's been a bit of a scrappy start. Something that we haven't seen from him against Julian Boyko yesterday. It was a dominant century after an opening mistake there from Julian. So O'Sullivan, yeah, pretty comfortable and get himself started on the break. But this could be a mistake now from Yao Pengcheng, as RonnieOSullivan will just have a look to see which of the reds are going to be available to him. So there's certainly ones that he can try and play right now. And it's all about if the red just above the ball cushion is going to be bottable into the right corner. And of course, Sullivan does have to take at least one of those reds on. And he'll go for the one that I was talking about, just above the black ball cushion. In the end, he'll land himself pretty much in between the blue or brown here. So let's see which color he's going to have to take on. But the positional sense has improved massively since the time that Yao Pengcheng had his break of 7 points. As O'Sullivan will settle for the yellow into its own pocket. And puts that one nicely. So in terms of the reds, it's a lot better in terms of the way they are positioned right now for Ronnie. But the black is still out of position. The pink is just above its spot there. But should he be potted in either one of the corner or middle pockets, he'll have to go underneath his spot, which is going to be unplayable from that position. But Ronnie still has got a lot of reds onto the top part of the table, right underneath the blue line, to try and get himself points from, as he starts off with that. So once again, lands the wrong side of the blue here, but we'll have the ball cushion to come to the rescue nicely. Good afternoon. Do we think Yao has any chance? The bookies has 150 crazy price here. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying is I think he's got a chance of taking a frame there. I don't think he's got a chance of doing anything more than that, to be honest. I mean, I'll be surprised if he does. Listen, if it's a 5-2 of a scoreline in favour of RonnieOSullivan, I know it's early days, but realistically, if it's 5-2, I think he's done well. I don't think that's going to happen, though, if O'Sullivan just gets his head in the game and Something that I will say about Ronnie that has been, you can always note about him, as he barely pops a red there into the right middle. He has to stay focused at all times, and also he has to take, if he wants to win it 5-0, he has to take every frame seriously, and that is going to be the problem. Complacency for Ronnie. If you want the opening 2 frames, he can try and let 1 or 2 frames slip up from him, but if he wants to take full control of the game and make it a 5-0, 5-1 of a scoreline, he has to be playing some of his best snooker. And so far, it's still early days, but in the opening frame, he had to certainly work for it, getting only 12 points so far. And right now we'll push the cue ball through another red. So a red shot not necessarily being his strength there. Has to be very precise with his red. And will indeed be precise in terms of potting it. But I don't think he was trying to get himself on the pink here. So he can try and pot the black. But as I said, I don't think that would have been the plan for him. Because the black spot is still not available for him to try and accumulate some points, but for now he's fine on this. Hi all, hello Kevin, and now that Kevin is here, I've done that on purpose. I just want to see that if Kevin can get some of the members, because I've got 5 more to gift out. Let's see if Kevin will get one of those, because he has been a legend of the chat there. So agreed 2 frames will be great for him, and also agreed it's up to Ronnie if he hands it on 5-0 or 5-1. I think you are right, as I'm very sorry to say that, Kevin, but membership once again have ignored you, so I don't know why they do it, but it's the second time of asking that. I've sort of tried to do it when you were here. Thanks for the gift moment. Yeah, no worries about that. But sorry, Kevin, I am a bit of a traitor in that respect. I think Yao could win 2 frames max, but very unlikely. I will say, though, in my eyes, if he is going to win 2 frames, he has to do it in the opening frame. If he loses the opening frame, I think it's maximum that he's looking at is 1 frame win. So it's very important for Ronnie to try and make most out of this break right now. And so far he's done all of the hard work in the early stages of it. Then he's had to move on to some of the easier reds. And now he's going to have to sort those out once again here. And has to be very, very careful, because it's one of those situations there you haven't got all of the easy reds available to you, but also you can't give away this position to your opponent, because less and less of them are going to be on the table. There's only 75 points available right now, so if Yao does get a chance of a clearance, I think he will take it from here. So it's all about Ronnie being clinical, and so far he has been. Didn't make any mistakes in the current break of 42 points, about to make it 50 plus break with the next 3 shots. So the pink will go into the right corner. So it's looking nicely now for a nice little start there for Ronnie. 37 points clear. The red will make that 38 here. Lands himself perfectly once again here for the pink. So the pink has been cleared up. The pink spot is free of any reds. All 4 of them are alongside or underneath the black spot. So just careful in terms of trying to play for this red into the right corner. Nicely done on the pink. So 44 points clear. The red will make it 45. So the pink, after this red, is going to make him 51 points clear with 51 on the table. So very much looking like it is going to be RonnieOSullivan's first frame to lose. And the reason I say that is, of course, the black is still not necessarily available for Pengcheng. But Ronnie has got the positional shot here. So he's 51 clear. 51 on the table. Any more max today? Yeah, Kevin, as I say, apologies for not giving you out the membership. I tried. Honestly, I tried my best there. Any more max today? Not that I've knew of. As I said, think there is 1 shock. Well, you could say 2 there, with Ali Carter and Watchalong being knocked out. As Ronnie goes for a conservative shot there. Gets his break of 63 points. And he's now 52 points clear with 43 on the table. So very unlikely that he'll actually lose the opening frame after making the most out of the position. No worries, we'll try another time. Happy to, yeah, as I say, be here in November and we'll try to do it again. So that's going to be the plan. But on a maximum note, I don't think so. Yes, actually, I have got something for you. Ding Wei, as RonnieOSullivan makes the mess of that shot to an extent, nearly pots the cue ball into the yellow pocket. Ding Wei was very close to making a maximum because I was watching his match against Jordan Brown, and he stopped on the last, on the yellow basically. So he had to play along the cushion, so I had to generate a lot of power on it. Has done really well in terms of getting some of the reds away earlier in the position, but didn't quite manage to get the yellow in, but had his chance. But in the end, still got a very comfortable win of, who was he playing? I know it was Brown. I'm just trying to think what is, Jordan Brown, there you go, first name. Jordan Brown it was. Just struggling so far this season. Who beat him today? Matthew Stevens was the player that has defeated Judd Trump in a brilliant match as well. You know, he was losing by 3 frames to 1. He came to a decider, and Matthew managed to come out on top of him there. Ali Carter has lost out, as I say, to Stan Moody in a brilliant match of 5 frames to 3. It was really high quality from both players, but in the end it was Stan that came out on top there. As right here, right now, I think Ronnie has basically conceded one of the reds for Yao to try and take advantage of. But the angle that he's got ahead of himself is not going to be kind to him in terms of getting the cue ball up to the black or the pink. And yet again, he decides to go for a safety shot there, which is something that you see very rarely, a player refusing a simple shot into the left middle. But obviously very much compromised by the fact that he's already 9 points not safe to catching Ronnie should he produce a total clearance. As Ronnie himself gets a decent safety shot there. Yao has to respond. I think what we're going to see in terms of no disrespect to Yao Pengcheng, but the real test for RonnieOSullivan is going to be Stephen Maguire in the last 32, which is the player that either Yao or Ronnie will have to face. And let's be honest, I mean, no disrespect to Yao, but I think we all know that Ronnie is a massive favourite to be facing Stephen Maguire there. I think that will be a test for him. And I think that's one of the matches that you can never take for granted. Stephen Maguire is one of those players that he can beat anyone on his day, and he can probably lose to anyone on his day. So never underestimate the man from Scotland. And until then, O'Sullivan just has to grind out the result here. And you never know, get another 5-0 win against Yao here. And get himself booked in for the next stage of the tournament. And it's a lovely shot there from Yao. Not too sure if Ronnie can just swerve around the blue here to get himself onto the red. I think he can do that. And send the red towards the right hand side of the table. And catches the jaw of the pocket. It's actually very fortunate to see the cue ball land exactly where he did. And a lot of distance right now. So a little bit of a slow burner right now. The safety battle here. As I say, O'Sullivan is going to be playing this one with pretty much, you know, looking at it with one eye there. Don't think he massively cares about producing a good safety. It's all about not giving up an easy red, which is something that Yao Pengcheng has just done. So the frame is certainly going to be over right now. And it is going to be RonnieOSullivan who takes on the opening frame. And he gets himself into a nice little cushion of a single frame. But as I say, it probably would have been the perfect chance for Yao Pengcheng to try and win that frame, to get himself a frame on the board. As if we talk about a scoreline of 5 frames to 2 or 5 frames to 1, that is going to be his challenge and attempt at this moment in time. So Ronnie gets another red in nicely. So still looking at a total clearance of around 32 points. And they're going to have to be a lot less than that though, with him being on this green right now. So I think for a total clearance of 35 points, but it misses the yellow into the right corner. And as long as it doesn't drop into the left middle, it is going to be the end of the opening frame. And it's going to be RonnieOSullivan, very much on form right now. Remember, he was a semi-finalist here last season, and he lost out to Kyron Wilson, the player that has managed to win China Grand Prix last season, to defeat Judd Trump in the final. Judd Trump is already out. And funnily enough, 3 other people that made the semi-final are still in. Judd Trump, RonnieOSullivan, Karen Wilson. And funnily enough, Daniel Wells there managed to beat David Gilbert yesterday. So it was a huge shock for everyone, I think including himself, when he managed to produce a brilliant campaign at China Grand Prix last season, get himself into a semi-final clash. Ronnie on form, new Q, he loves it. I mean, as I say, I wouldn't just get ahead of ourselves too early. He is dominating the players that he's facing so far, but I know you can only beat what's in front of you, but as I say, let's see what he's going to produce against Stephen Maguire tomorrow. If he beats Yao Pengcheng today, which I think is going to be very likely right now, especially him winning the opening frame, Stephen will be a massive test. And that's where you can say if he's on form or he's been... With all the respect to the players on the tour, it is the world number 4 against the world number 118. So, yeah, I had a chance in that first frame, but couldn't do it. Yes, he did. He had 2 chances, really. The one that he had a break of 7 points, and the one that he took a red on into the right corner after O'Sullivan gave him away. 4 points and a ball in hand. He could have gone for the red. He managed to land perfectly on the blue into the left middle, but in the end, didn't manage to get the red in. So, 11 points is the maximum that he could produce. Wonderful game tomorrow. Are you covering it? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I still need to know the time, but I'll let you know as soon as the draw is there. But Stephen Maguire's already booked himself. I think he was it a walkover? I don't think it was a walkover. I think he managed to beat his opponent there. So, Karen Wilson against Xi'An Sejun is going to be interesting. But until Ronnie's in the draw, especially with, you never know, whichever tournament might be his final one, I think we all dread the moment that is announced. The way Stephen Hendry did it in 2012. Steve Davis, Jimmy White. You never want to see the legend go, but at some point it will happen, and you have to enjoy and relish every single tournament that he participates. So, as long as Ronnie's in the tournament, absolutely we will be there for him. And, well, not only just watching, but also supporting him, because as he still wants to get his 42nd ranking event title, I think it'll be perfect if he ends up on something like 50. I think it's going to be unlikely, though, with him to win 9 more tournaments of ranking titles, especially with how little of them he actually tries to participate in. You know, he only had Shanghai Masters, Saudi Arabian Masters, and now China Grand Prix here. Missing out on Wuhan Open, British Open and English Open already. And of course he's going to do the same with Northern Ireland Open. No chance of him playing that one after being withdrawn from the qualifying round. So next week is going to be without RonnieOSullivan. But for now we can all enjoy his performance here at the China Grand Prix, as he's going to get us underway in the second frame. With the break-off shot sending the cue ball into the left part of the reds. Nicely done here. And a decent start off there by Ronnie. But yeah, Nolan, coming back to your question, I think my score prediction, I don't really do those, but I was just about to say 5-0, but then Yao just pulled off a brilliant pot into the left corner, but it'll be boring for me to change it, so I still will go for 5-0. I think it was a good chance for him in the first frame, but you have to take it on a frame-by-frame basis if you're Yao Pengcheng. And right now he's got a decent position up ahead of him, especially if he gets nicely into the reds, and he's unlucky. If you can't see that red into the left middle, he's very much unlucky, because that was a perfect shot in terms of sending the cue ball in towards the reds. But I think the pink is going to get in the way here. So Yao has to settle for his highest break of the match, being the good news, but the problem is it's only 8 points there for him. Nolan says Yao wins 1 frame, he's not playing terribly. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. I think the benchmark for you has to be, I've had a look at the performances that he's had. And he was playing against Sean Murphy last week. He managed to get a frame away from him. And he was decent, but it was decent only for a world number 118. He managed to get a frame off Murphy, though. And Murphy was the winner of the British Open just a couple of weeks ago. So let's see what he can try and produce against Ronnie here. Andrew, lovely people getting in the chat, actually. Feel free to do that whilst we haven't got So much going on right now, just a safety battle. I couldn't bet Ronnie to win the tournament. Hope he plays well against some tougher opposition after this match, but I don't think he'll had enough tough match practice, missing out on recent tournaments. Absolutely agree with you. Absolutely, Andrew. I couldn't agree with you more on that, and I think this is why it's alright and fun to say that he's been doing well against Boyko and Yao here, but the real test is going to be against Stephen Maguire and potentially Jack Jones in the last 32 and the last 16. One frame would be a win for Yao, I agree. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's only fair. I don't think we're trying to disrespect anyone, but when you're up against the world number 4, even though he's not necessarily going to be in form, but if anything, I will say, because Ronnie has missed out, basically, he's played his match in the 16th of August. So he missed out on 1.5 months of proper tournaments being played. It's going to be a perfect practice for him. You know, when you have a tougher opposition, you want to build yourself up. It's like a warm-up. Before a tough match, you want to have 35, maybe 30 minutes of warm-up. And that's exactly what he's had against Boyko. That's exactly what he's having against Yao Pengcheng now. And his task maximum is going to be try and beat them with a whitewash. If he does it, I think you'll have a good chance against Maguire. But as I said, unless Ronnie plays some brilliant snooker, I don't expect him to absolutely demolish Maguire. He's going to be a difficult opponent for him, and I wouldn't at all be surprised if Maguire actually locks him out there. There's your little shocker prediction. I hope he gets one frame now. Well, let's see. I think it will make sense. If in the first round O'Sullivan had a whitewash, then the second round is going to be a 5-1 win. Then against Maguire, potentially a 5-2 win. You know, he's not going to run out of those frames to lose when he gets to the final on Monday, the following week. But for now, he's given away a chance now to Yao Pengcheng, and it's those sort of chances that he actually has to take on here. And it's a chance that he misses. Ronnie comes alive 100%. Exactly, absolutely agree, and I know what you're talking about. But tell me, if RonnieOSullivan was facing Shaun Murphy in the first round, he wouldn't get beaten 5-1. Absolutely will. No matter how good you are, when Stephen Hendry, 7-time world champion, returned to the campaign in 2021, he was losing to everyone. You know why? Because he didn't have practice enough. He said himself he was taking it for granted and he didn't want to practice for 7 hours on the table. He was only doing 2 or 3, and in the end, he ended up losing to some of the qualifiers there. He still managed to win a frame or 2, but I think this is perfect start for Ronnie in terms of the opposition, because if you give him a hard opponent that he's so desperate of seeing, I think he'll actually lose to them, which is something that we've seen against Neil Robertson already. This season he's lost out to Karen Wilson as well in the Shanghai Masters. And get yourself a nice little build-up of those 2 frames. I'm not saying that he needs to get himself every single time he has to be playing against the world number 50 or the world number 60. I think it's only fair that he's going to be up against the world number 32 player, Stephen Maguire, then potentially the English Open quarterfinalist Jack Jones there. So I think it's a fair build-up. I think his side of the draw could see him up against Neil Robertson, which is going to be another benefit there. And Matthew Stevens' big win after a long time. Yes, I mean, he's gone from, was it a decider against Dylan Emery that he's lost out on the frame ball and on the match ball respectively, to winning up against the world number 1, who is, to be fair, Trump really is struggling. And by the way, shout out to Karen Wilson, seen his interview yesterday on the WSD tour, saying that he's hoping to be back to his best right now, because had a little bit of a tough time. His wife has been feeling poorly, as he mentioned. So thank God she's actually feeling a lot better right now. And he said it was really difficult for him to try and concentrate on being in Wuhan when she had to go through surgery. So hoping that the health of Karen Wilson's wife is going to improve, and therefore his performance is going to improve as well. So yeah, still wishing her a speedy recovery, and hoping to see more of Karen Wilson in these tournaments. And well, you never know, he still might defend his title after not necessarily having the best start to the season. Just struggle continue. Yeah, it's funny you say that, actually. I was going to bring in the Stephen Hendry interview that I've seen a couple of weeks ago. Then he was saying that it's fine for Trump to be doing that because he usually finds a sequence in the tournament, sorry, not in the tournament, in the season, where he has a good spell for 2 or 3 months, and he may try to just leave that up until last, all the big tournaments, maybe some of the Triple Crown. You always want to win the UK Championship, the Masters, and obviously the Crucible. But until then, it's all going to have to be very, very difficult for him because he's lost out to the likes of Oliver Lyons, lost out to Elliot Slessor, he's lost out to, today he's lost out to Matthew Stevens, and none of those really you would have expected him to lose, with him being a very high favourite in all of those matches. Karen Wilson advanced the last 32 due to Marco Fully. Yes, it's funny actually. Well, it's not funny that Marco Fully has an injury. Once again, wishing him a speedy recovery. I think it was his elbow. Once again, not confirmed information. But the interesting thing about Karen Wilson and Yuan Jun is that both of them progressed to the last 32 through a walkover. Yuan Jun didn't have to face Jamie Jones there. And Karen Wilson didn't have to face Marco Fu, as you mentioned. And a brilliant shot there by Ronnie, as he makes the most out of this break. 68 points already, so his highest one of the match here. Ahead by 60 points here, and this is looking nicely. Something that we haven't seen against Boyko in the first round. Him stringing breaks of 60 plus in the consecutive frames. Something that he said on the, I think it was the overlap, that when he was young, it was all about trying to string breaks of 70, 60 plus on 3-4 frames in a row. Because when you hit one, you can always say, well, you know, I had a nice position, it was one off there. But if you do it consecutively, this is how you know you're finding your form. I like to put a bet on the winner, but too hard to predict this early. Usually wait till the last 8 to pick to someone. Had Allen 9-2 a couple of weeks ago, but I had McGill in the last one. So if you're talking about Mark Allen in the English Open, the one that he managed to beat in the Joey Lot, I think your heart would have been pounding in the decider after he managed to lose out on that very healthy lead that he's had. Yeah, that is exactly what I'm saying, Andrew. Couldn't believe Allen was 7-3 up, then 8-7 down, and come through 9-8. That's exactly what I was saying. As Ronnie gets a brilliant double in, still alive for the century break. And yeah. And McGill, listen, McGill's performance was decent, but I think his chance would have been in the opening session. As soon as he was heading into the evening session with 4-0, I thought he was just going to run out of steam because he hasn't done it before. And Murphy's been there many times. He's a world champion, Murphy. Many people forget that, but it's going to be very interesting to see more of Sean Murphy. Recently, he managed to beat his opponent today. I can't remember who it was in the morning session by 5 frames to 0. And RonnieOSullivan is certainly going to be on the course for a century break. Trump lose today at work, so not seen any result. Yes, Trump has lost out. And as Ronnie, a little bit naughty, leaves the rest on the table whilst playing the shot. And this time you'll try and get rid of that. So a break of 101 points. And once again, congratulations to RonnieOSullivan on his 1000th ranking event match yesterday against Julian Boyko, joining the elite club of John Higgins and Mark Williams. And as he said, he's been playing against them since juniors, and it's been 40 years pretty much. What a journey, pretty much. Well, talk about an end of an era. It is the end of a lifetime, pretty much. Can you imagine sharing the scene with someone for 40 years on the same table? Mad that is when you think about it. McGill was a big prize, 8-1 before he beat Moody. Murphy was too good. I didn't realise he actually beat Stan Moody. Yes, I do realise he beat Stan Moody there. Because I was thinking about the semi-final with Higgins. Yeah, it was a good match. I actually backed Moody to win that one, especially after beating Barry Hawkins. So Moody's actually the man in form, you know, beating Ali Carter, beating Barry, as I mentioned, last tournament. And now RonnieOSullivan on the break for 128 points. A brilliant ending to the second frame as he gets himself into the fantastic result there. Could have had 2,000 matches if he played all the tournament. Well, I think it's a little bit of an exaggeration, but I get what you're getting at. I think if you talk about all the matches that he missed, I think it's been a recent thing of him, though. I think he's done it for maybe 4 seasons. I can't really imagine him doing that in his sort of prime of, well, I say that, he literally had to miss a whole season when he won the world title in 2012. Yeah, so maybe I am wrong on that one. Yeah, well, I mean, you think about how many matches you can have in a season, you're missing out on the entire season. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it would have been 2,000, but I think it could have easily been 1,500 or something. So I get what your point is, and certainly get the logic in that as well. And for now, as we have a little break here, let's have a look at how the other matches are doing. Mark Selby is currently losing to Mark Davis, and Neil Robertson is currently losing to Ishprit Singh Chadha. Nearly 2 frames to 0 there. Barry Hawkins is up against David Grace, a nice little early lead there. And Zhao Xingtong is losing to Robert Milkins. So out of the, sort of highest 4 seeds that we have playing right now, you only have RonnieOSullivan winning. Selby, Robertson and Xingtong are all losing to their opponents. So not been a straightforward start for them on their side of the table. But it certainly will be for RonnieOSullivan here. As, well, I mean, I am surprised to see that, to be honest with you, but at the end of the day, this is why we love snooker. You can always rely on people just beating anyone. Anyone can beat anyone there in snooker, and that's the good thing about it. Few potential upsets brewing. Yeah, still early doors there. I think if it would have been best of 7, I would certainly say that, but because it's best of 9, I think it's going to be difficult for Davis, Chadha, and Milkins to try and dispatch the likes of Xingtong, Robertson and Selby there. But focus is going to have to be on table number 2 here of the round 2. And it is RonnieOSullivan against Yao Pengcheng. This time it's going to be Yao to break off now to get the 3rd frame underway. The breaks of 8 in the 2nd frame and the breaks of 7 points in the 1st frame was the best that he could manage to produce against the world number 4 there, the 7-time world champion. Let's see if he's going to try and develop on that and finally make it a significant break points advantage until O'Sullivan will have, inevitably I think he will have a chance on every single one of those frames. And it's nothing that Pengcheng can't do about it. It's just the quality of Ronnie is always going to leave him with some of those chances, and it's just a question if he can actually take those. But Ronnie acknowledging that the break-off shot was nice there by Yao, and probably has to consider taking a cushion first shot. Maybe forced to take the red on into the right corner. Don't think he was planning to do that. And yeah, in the end, he's missed that one by an absolute mile. He wants the cue ball to drop, really. And it's not the first time we've seen that happen. But I think he'll take that. 4 points and the ball in hand is going to be a disappointment there from Pengcheng. Because he could have had a lot better of a position in terms of the cue ball. But to be fair, if it stayed over the left middle, don't think there would have been too many options available to him. Because even though Sullivan has gone into the reds, very few of them have actually moved from their position. So the pink has now gone right inside the back there. So I don't think we're going to see any more of that right now. And once again, a nice little shot there from Ronnie. Gets the cue ball very close to the ball cushion. And gets the momentum back to himself. The black and the pink are both out of position right now. So that's going to be a problem for Yao Pengcheng, I would say. First and foremost, I think Ronnie is known to be a player that has certainly been able to navigate the cue ball around the blue and the ball colours, but so far it's a horrible shot there from Pengcheng as he tries to get himself out of a snooker situation. Leaves the cue ball very close to the red into the right corner. The question is Ronnie actually going to take it on? And the answer is yes. He'll say thank you very much indeed, and it's a free way for me to try and get on the break here in the 3rd frame. And just as I say, I think it has been a perfect start for him with all the chances that have been presented to himself. But I think he'll be very disappointed with the shot he just played. On the brown, he was sacrificing the positional shot there. sorry, the pot there to get himself a better angle on the cue ball, but instead he's landed absolutely nowhere. And just a safety shot that he has to play. Send the red into the other one, and the cue ball is going to go onto the ball cushion yet again here. So the first time we're actually seeing RonnieOSullivan produce as little break over 5 points now. But as it being the start, and the position is still very much bunched up together with all the reds. Probably was expected at that stage. And Pengcheng has to send the cue ball into the left side of the big bunch of reds. And try and get a lot of the contact on the cue ball. Doesn't want to catch it thin, and that's exactly what I've been talking about. And that's exactly what he tried to replicate there, catching the reds very thin indeed. The cue ball had to travel a long distance there, but he's going to be very lucky to give away a minor angle on the red into the right corner, which means O'Sullivan has to refuse the shot because of there being no way for him to try and get the cue ball on towards the colour. As I say, that's going to be a massive factor, the fact that the black and the pink are all out of position right now. The green has been pushed towards its own pocket there. So still very much playable. And the reds are not spread out particularly well either. So it's one of those positions that Pengcheng has to try and exploit here. Get himself a first chance. And just grind out some points on the break. Because the current position, even though it's not perfect for Ronnie, he's known for making it stick there. Because when he gets the cue ball in amongst those reds, he can try and travel and force the white into those little clusters, spread them out perfectly, and still, in majority of those times, guarantee himself a positional shot on the next color of red. But until then, he needs to find an introduction here. Something that he tried to find, and it's a brilliant shot yet again now from Ronnie. Just wants the cue ball to slow down here. And hasn't quite done that, so I think it's just going to be 1 point there. He got the red a bit too thin, it's just dropped in the jaw there, but in the end, not enough angle there for him to play any one of the ball colours. So just running behind the green there, get Pengcheng into a snooker situation. As Ronnie will go back to his seat and wait patiently for the chance that surely will come to him. There's no reds on the cushion that you can try and roll up to, and also with the last couple of shots have spread those reds out very nicely. So there's pretty much no room for error at all. I think the only real chance that I'm seeing is trying to roll the cue ball underneath one of those reds, very close to the black ball cushion. But when I say, it's like if you could place a cue ball whenever on the table, but I've got absolutely no idea how he's going to try and get there. So he's thinking of trying to roll up from behind to the bunch of reds, but that leaves away two reds into the left and right corner. Don't think it's the right shot for him to try and go for. But of course, it's his decision to try and make. So, very important shot now in this third frame, because it could be the one that sets RonnieOSullivan off here. And he looks to have played this one absolutely perfectly. It's a great shot there from him. And certainly wasn't easy. He had to find a lot of precision on that shot. And Ronnie will just try and send the cue ball into around the same area. And he's actually done really well with that shot, Ronnie, there. Because still covered up majority of those reds. So forcing another shot on the cushion first there, potentially from Pengcheng. And of course that will mean that the cue ball control is going to be limited. And therefore the chance of Ronnie regaining back control of the position going to be very high there for him. So for now, Pengcheng looking to make the most out of the red into the right hand side of the table, sending on the opposite side of it. But the cue ball is going to be heading very close towards the jaws of the pocket. And what a fluke this is. I mean, it probably would have been frame over had he not fluked that red. Because with the way the reds are, even though the black and the pink are out of position, what a fluke this is there from Pengcheng. It's only going to get him 1 point, but oh boy, did he get lucky there. Because as I say, all the reds that are available to RonnieOSullivan, that would have been frame over there. It's not though. And once again, we eliminate one more red. Get that count up to 3 already. And it's only 15 points scored between the two players. 8 of those, of course, came from the foul shots. Once again, Ronnie has got red into the left corner. So I think he'll try and save some of the pace on the cue ball here. And he doesn't want to take it on, surprisingly, as a shot in towards the left corner. Getting the cue ball in towards the ball colour. So, for whatever reason, he decides to give up the initiative now. And leave the red very closely to the cue ball. So this time it's a perfect chance for Pengcheng to do something about the position. I mean, he's even looking to try and go for the red in towards the right corner, but as I say, I don't think Ronnie would have left that one on purpose. So Pengcheng has to just play it away there, but doesn't want to catch the brown on the way in. And it's the thinnest of kisses though, so he's going to be alright here. And once again, the safety battle will resume here. So something that we've seen in every single one of those frames. When Ronnie got his chance, to be fair, he was pretty rapid with those. 48 minutes since the start of the match. And whilst we have a safety play, I can tell you that Mark Selby's looking decent for a win in the second frame. But Neil Robertson has lost out on the second frame. It's going to be 2-0 to Ishprin Sinchada there. Zhao Xington is still battling against Robert Milkins for the second frame there. But it's not a perfect shot there from Ronnie. As I was watching it, the cue ball just catching the brown full ball there, pretty much giving initiative of a shot now to Yao. Try and take the red in towards the right corner. Surely he's not going to refuse this one. And the red almost jumped out of the pocket there. It's a waste of a chance there from Yao, because the same red can be played by O'Sullivan in towards the yellow pocket. It's not going to be an easy shot though. And he just wants to see if he's got any easier option available there to him. But the answer is going to be no to that question. I think he just has to play cue ball in towards the red there. Try and get himself lined up for a shot in towards, well, either one of the ball colours. Or you can try and hang the cue ball for the blue. But he doesn't want to put too much of the pressure on the cue ball, because he still has to get the pot in. And he certainly will do. So it's looking very, very nicely right now in terms of the pot success for RonnieOSullivan. Barely missing any of the reds that he actually went for and attempted earlier in the match. And once again gets himself on a nice little break here. So has to do a majority of it off the blue here until he frees up either black or pink. And something that he's managed to do already here. So he's just going to be trying to see if he can get on the black right now. Sending the cue ball into the reds there. The black has gone in towards its own cushion there. The pink is still covered up though. So I think Ronnie will try and get himself on the black here. Has he judged the cue ball control to perfection? I think he has. And I mean, what a shot that is. Getting the perfect kiss on the red. Just seeing enough of black there. And all of a sudden, he's going to be back in and around his favourite spot there. The black one. So many reds available there to him. Into both of the corner pockets. Not too many of them into the middle. Certainly enough of those for him to try and make this the break that counts for him. Still thinking about the next red situation. I think it's just all about how much power does he want to generate on this black here. And you can see why he was thinking about the shot. Because I don't think he could see enough of the red to go along the cushion. So he tried to cannon into the one that was above the pack there. And in the end, he's going to run himself out of position. So break of 14 points. Looking like it's going to be the end now for RonnieOSullivan's streak. And send the cue ball once again in towards the green pocket. Landing quite nicely there. So one thing I will say about Ronnie so far is he hasn't been taking too much of those risky reds that you can often see him trying to take on. But the shot is not really on there. And sometimes he misses those. Leaves it over the corner pocket and gives away a chance to his opponent. But Pengcheng managing to find a decent safety shot. And is he going to cover up all of those reds? I don't think he will. So there's a couple that Ronnie can try and take from here in towards either left or right corner. I think he'll try and go for the one into the left-hand side of the table. Send the cue ball down the table and then back up there for either ball colours or the blue. And it was very tight room there for him though. Misses the red. But because his cue ball control was so nice, he hasn't given anything easy there to Yao Pengcheng. Still a shot available in towards the right corner there for Yao. And all about trying to get himself in the frame here. Not talking about the match for now. Just get anything more than 8 points on the break. And the red is in though, so it's a nice little start. Can he get himself on the blue? I think he can just about see enough of the green here, but it just gets from bad to worse to him really, because even if he pots the green, can't see the way he's going to get that cue ball in towards the reds onto the lower part of the table here. So very important right now for him to try and make full advantage of the shot here. Try and play this one with a lot of backspin, so means a lot of power. And the line is good there from the cue ball, but wanted to run further than that. And it's going to run right in between the reds. Decent shot there from the position that he actually finds himself in. The cue ball is not going to be dead on the cushion, but still has to apply some of the top spin, which makes the shot a lot more difficult. I'd like to play this one with backspin, try and send the cue ball in towards the black cushion. And yeah, the red will stay out. And it is going to be once again a chance to RonnieOSullivan here, because the break of 4 points is going to be the maximum that Yao Pengcheng can produce in this third frame. And right now, RonnieOSullivan surely is going to be away into a lovely little 3-0 lead here against Yao. Gets himself onto the blue nicely into the left middle. Still plenty of reds there available to him in the open play, until he gets to the ones that are going to be slightly problematic there to him. And I think he has to take the red out of the corner pocket in next couple of shots, because that will free up the black into the left corner. Ronnie doesn't seem to be too happy with something on this shot as he goes down for it, but then decides to give it a few more seconds until he actually takes it on. And in the end, if he lands the top side of the blue, he's going to be nice here, but can't quite manage that. I may have to use that red that I was talking about on the left corner to get himself a nice little position on the blue for the next time around. And that's exactly what he's done. A lot of breathing space there for him in terms of the points lead and the current positional shot. So I'll just play the cue ball into the red and push it up the table, but hasn't played this one well though. Got himself into a difficult situation. The blue is not going to be easy to try and take on into the right middle. And as I say, he's pretty much run out of easier reds now to try and play. Potting the 3 of those, so has to take it probably into the green pocket. Makes it a difficult shot there for him to try and do. And also, the cue ball position is not going to be easy to manage. In the end, he gets the perfect blue into the green pocket, but lost the cue ball slightly. And he's going to have to play this one with, well, just a safety shot really. Puts the black into the open play, clearly not necessarily scared about his opponent coming back to the table and producing a total clearance. Come on, Ronnie. Well, he's going to have to wait until the next time around in terms of the break here, because he's got a lead of 33 points, still 75 on the table. And he needs to work a little bit more for this 4-0 lead. And Xi'An starts off with a decent safety shot there. So Ronnie just send the red in towards the main bunch, into the opposite side of the table. Make sure that none of those reds are going to be left over the left corner pocket, and get the cue ball very nicely indeed in behind the yellow, right on the ball cushion there. So wonderful shot there from Ronnie, leaving only one red that I can actually see from this angle for Pengcheng to try and exploit. And if he gets this red in right now, Pengcheng still has to find himself on the position on the next colour. But what a double kiss he just got. I mean, if the cue ball runs in behind the blue, he'll certainly return a favour for the luck that O'Sullivan got previously in this frame. Doesn't look to be the case though. And once again, RonnieOSullivan gets a golden opportunity to finally end this frame, but it's an opportunity not taken, and certainly did not expect to be commentating on that shot as a miss there from Ronnie. Pretty much took the red for granted into the left corner, got down to the shot way too quickly, especially when he misses it, and well, with the recent safety shots, I mean, if Pengcheng just manages to get one last red available into the play, which he just did, it's only the brown really that he's going to struggle with in this frame number 3. But the problem is, of course, he has to be absolutely flawless in this total clearance. He's to find one. And straight away, he doesn't start off really well with his black now. The good news is he managed to get the black. The bad news is not necessarily the best positional shot now on the red in towards the left corner. A little bit of a delay once again now as the referee decides to put the black onto the pink spot. So clearly not enough space there for him, but I think it's going to be more of an advantage to Pengcheng now because of the way the reds are positioned right now. Just about gets that red in towards the left corner. So he's still alright right now. 59 points on the table. He's not going to struggle with those. So it's the one red that is going to be the lowest of those 4 remaining. And the brown, of course, being right on the, pretty much in the middle of the bulk cushion. It's a kind of a shot that I was talking about, the yellow that Ding Zhouhui has missed out for a maximum. And he had to play that one with power, but I think if Pengcheng wants to get himself on the blue, which he certainly will need, if my calculations are right, for him to get the win of this. Well, he might actually not need the blue. You'll have 18 points on the table with the blue, so how many of the points he can actually get on these reds right now? He gets the black in right now to put it back on his spot, just about. Rattles it in. Spoke too soon pretty much at that time. So he's now 10 points behind. He's got 3 reds, which will put him 14 points clear. Yeah, he actually doesn't need the blue if he takes all of these reds with the high value colors. So this could be a massive point there for him, because they can't really see Ronnie trying to go for a snooker on blue, pink and black being on the table. But, you know, it's one thing me saying he doesn't need the blue, but he certainly will need the brown there, I think. As I say, let's get a little bit closer to that point, but right now he's 2 points behind. He still has got 2 reds on the table, so that's going to be 16 points, so 14 points clear. 16 with the yellow, 19 with the green, so yeah, you will need guaranteed. You'll guarantee to need a brown for the frame ball, and probably a win, barring snookers there for the frame for him as well. But right now he lands himself awkwardly on his black right now, into the right corner. So play this one with a lot of power to get himself on the red. Can't take your eye off the pot though. And the line is looking good, but the traction of the cue ball seems to be a bit too much there. And as he overrun for this shot, he can still try and pull it into the left middle. But when I said he's gonna need the brown as his frame ball, I mean that was considering if he's going to take all those reds with the high value colors. But let's see where Cuba's going to be sent. The good news for him though is the pink is now on the brown spot, and he will disappear back on his spot right now with the last red going into the left middle. So he changed this one pretty well in the end. Only going to lose one of the points that I mentioned. So it does look like it's all going to come down to just rolling that brown in towards the green spot as he finally has a look at the scoreboard just to see if he will need the brown. So he's now 30 points clear, 27 on the table. So certainly will need that brown. But I don't think he'll need the blue, which is going to be important. But still has to get himself a nice little angle on the green. I don't think he's got that. I think he's very straight on this green right now. Into its own pocket here. So it's not looking too nice there for him. Had to sacrifice a lot of the angle. And this is all or nothing because there's basically no distance in between the brown and the cue ball. So this is now a shot for the frame now, and probably the biggest win, well, not necessarily of his career, because I think getting a tour card would have been bigger than just getting a frame of RonnieOSullivan. And he does manage to get it in, so it's a wonderful shot in the end there from Pengcheng. And barring snookers, he certainly won the third frame. Well. I mean, I didn't see that one coming. I thought he definitely was going to miss that blue. The brown, sorry. Let's see if Ronnie will come back to the table. Yes, he will. I suppose he has to, with it being only one snooker situation. But Pengcheng manages to do all the hard work here. And just has to try and avoid giving away 5 foul points there. And Ronnie straight away with an early chance of getting a snooker in. And Yao can see the entirety of the blue here. So just roll this one in towards the yellow or green pocket. And he's going to be nicely away into the fourth frame. With the, well, I mean, still potentially being in this match. 2-1 down. It's not necessarily a death sentence there for you in terms of losing the match. And plays a decent safety shot there, Pengcheng. Ronnie looking for a response here. Cue ball going to be sent in behind the black here. Decent line, not enough pace. And once again, Pengcheng will have a chance to close off the frame by potting the blue into the yellow pocket. Ronnie had a couple of chances to lay off a snooker. In the end, came very close but short. And is he going to snooker him back though? And he misses the blue. Can Ronnie see enough of that blue? I don't think he can. I think the pink is going to be in the way. So all about the next couple of shots here from Pengcheng to just trying to survive here. And I think it's inevitable that Ronnie will just get bored of this snooker pursuit himself. And just try and take it into the next frame. For now though, it's a decent safety this time away from Ronnie. Blue ball is potable in towards the left corner. Being the yellow pocket as well. But in the end he decides to just go for a safe manner there. I think Pengcheng has to hold on to this frame. And don't put too little distance there in between the cue ball and the blue. Because that will just give more orientation there to Ronnie. But if he catches the jaw right now, he could give these blue ball away in towards the left middle. In the end, it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. But the blue is still potable. In towards the yellow pocket there. And, well, it's a kind of a shot that Pengcheng was trying to avoid there. Putting very little distance in between the blue and the cue ball. So, full control of the shot is going to be given away there to Ronnie. And can he find a snooker now? Don't think he can. I think he had too much pace in that cue ball. Certainly did at that time. So the battle will continue. Still no real chance for RonnieOSullivan to find himself getting at least one of those snookers for Yao Pengcheng to try and get himself out of. But until then, he's still in this match and he's still in this frame. So that's probably all that counts there for him. Once again, Ronnie with a decent shot on the cue ball, but nowhere near good enough to get himself snookered. So the turn has to go back to Pengcheng here. So very much taking very little time on the shots, Ronnie. So still doesn't look like he's fully invested in this shot. As we see a nice little graphic there for Yao to try and pot the blue in towards the yellow corner. But once again, it's another miss. And it's another chance now for Ronnie to, I think this time around, send the blue ball in towards the black there. Which I thought was the case. Ronnie didn't think so, and once again, he's going to be nowhere near landing a snooker on Yao here. So, has to take his chance. And as I say, I think if he takes it with a safety in mind, just puts it very close in towards the yellow pocket. It's a brilliant shot in the end, and it's going to be the last we're going to see from RonnieOSullivan in this third frame. It is going to be a massive milestone there for Yao Pengcheng to get himself a frame on the board against the 7-time world champion. He's going to sound brilliantly on your CV, especially after just making yourself into the tour card, well, a couple of months ago, really. It is going to be Yao Pengcheng 1, RonnieOSullivan 2. The Rocket is still in control of the match, but it's no longer a whitewash. And applause Pengcheng certainly is. He's done well there for himself, and has to try and build on that now and try and make it. Well, you never know. A 2-2 going into intermission 2-all. It's going to be a massive boost there for him. But until then, it is still O'Sullivan very much in the lead. And Neil Robertson is facing a massive problems against Ishprit Singh Chadha. He's about to be losing by 3-0, you would think. And yeah, he's got himself into a massive sort of trouble. Mark Selby managed to get a frame against Mark Davis. And Xiao Xington has managed to recover the second frame against Robert Milkins as well. Barry Hawkins about to make a 3-1 lead against David Grace. And yeah, as I say, massive shock there for me to see Neil Robertson struggling to that extent there. And let's just see what is going to happen against Ishprit Singh Chadha there. Don't think I would have seen that one coming. Would have seen Robertson as a massive favourite, especially with the way he's been playing recently. Not good, but not too bad either. But, well, 3-0 lead is going to certainly be making Ishprit Singh Chadha the favourite for that match. As we're about to get some more action here on the table number 2. After a short little break of both players taking the bathroom break there. And, well, listen, it's still early days there for Ronnie, and I think it was just a matter of time until he was going to lose inevitably one of those frames. You know, he had to come sooner rather than later. And, by the way, Robertson is still trying to hang on there against Ishprit Singh Chadha. I'm not too sure how many points are on the table. The graphic seems to be lying to me. But he's got a break of 19 points there. As I say, the win in this frame will be absolutely massive there for him. He's on a break of 19 points. I'll keep you updated until that one. And it's a massive difference of being 3-0 down or 2-1 down. Especially to the lower ranking seed. This is now 25 points. So if he's got the black on the table and he can pot it, he is going to be the winner of a frame there for Neil Robertson. Mark Davies, by the way, got himself into the third frame as well. And Xiao Xington has lost out on the chance to close off the third frame. So it is going to be Robert Milkins to come back to the table at least one more time. And Neil Robertson has indeed managed to get himself a massive steal against Ishprit Singh Chadha there. So it could have been a really different story there. But the Aussie just finds himself one frame behind of the Indian rising star there. And RonnieOSullivan is ready to get the third frame, the fourth frame underway, the last one until the 15-minute intermission break there. Hello everyone. Yes, hello Greg Resher. Lovely little badge next to your name as well, as he was the one that robbed Kevin of a membership there. So don't blame me, blame him. And the other 9 people like Andrew that got it. If game with Ronnie on early tomorrow, you still got it. Oh, 100%. Like, the thing about Ronnie is, if he's playing, I'm watching the game. And if I'm watching the game, I may as well just do a little commentary box with it. So I just think it would make sense for me, certainly, to try and do it. And for other people that want to tune in and watch the broadcast. As Pengcheng starts off with a brilliant shot in towards the right corner. Once again, certainly hasn't been shy of trying to take those reds in towards the corner pockets. And it's the problem that has been following up, really, that he's been trying to catch up with, trying to get on the following colour. This time he's got the black to try and take on into the right middle, but once again misses the shot and leaves O'Sullivan to come back to the table there. Only 1 point scored. Yeah, there you go. Thank you for nicking my membership. Yeah, well, at least he sees the funny side of it. That's the most that I can say. And I wonder if YouTube is ever going to make that thing which you have on Twitch where you can actually decide of who you give it to. I think it's because it's got a little bit of a different streaming format there. But talking about format, I think format of best of 9 frames is going to actually be very beneficial there to Ronnie. He's always been very critical, especially after that interview of up against Michael White, where he says he's just seen enough of that. And he's fed up of fighting against everyone, and he's just going to try and play his own game. Always been very critical of that format, of it being just first to 4 frames. Well, the early stages, he has to do to first to 5 here, until we get to the semi-finals, where it's going to be first to 6. And the final, of course, is going to be first to 10 frames there, best of 19. So 14 points is going to be on the cards here for Ronnie if he puts the black in, but it was a big if. He was trying to generate a lot of power on the cue ball, trying to get the white in towards the reds. In the end, trying to do too much in too little time there. He's going to miss the black in towards the right middle and leave a chance now for Yao Pengcheng yet again here. Well, I say leave a chance. Has he actually landed on any of those reds? I think he's got one into the left middle, but I'm not too sure if he can actually get through to that red. As it takes some of the time on the shot here. So he's looking to see that shot in towards the middle, and not sure what he was actually doing there. I mean, if he was playing the shot, he's missed that one by an absolute country mile. And he also landed nowhere near of getting himself on the colour. So Ronnie will step back to the table here and get himself into another safety battle, something that we've seen throughout every single one of those frames. And this time around, he has to be Yao Pengcheng to come away with a safety shot here, as Ronnie goes for a sensible shot selection in the end. Doesn't try to force any more of the reds in towards the left corner. And, well, Pengcheng has gone for a little bit of a wild shot there, but it looks like it's actually worked out for him. So he's gone for the old little shot where you send the red down the table with mighty little power so that it goes up the table and down the table again. He judged that one pretty well. An acknowledgement from Ronnie as well, saying good shot there. But is he going to take another red into the left corner here? And don't think that will be the case, as he's gone just for the safe matter of shots here. And it's a nice little position now for him in towards the yellow part of the table. So Yao now has to send the reds and try to develop them, really, because from what we've seen in the opening 3 frames, he needs a good position there, Yao Pengcheng. He can't really make the position that has got like 10 reds very much bunched up together. He can't make that one work, because apart from the break of 55 points, the best that he could manage in the previous 2.5 frames was only a break of 8 and 7 points. And for now, it is a chance wasted there, because O'Sullivan will go for this shot, and he certainly will take this one on. So all about where the cue ball is going to finish after a wonderful red in towards the right corner. As he landed himself on the green, I think he just about has. He can try and take this one into the left middle. Play this one with a lot of power, as he has to. And certainly accurate in terms of the potting angle, as he landed himself on anything. In terms of the reds or colours, don't think he had his next round, last 16. No, so it's round 3 is like last 32. So the last 32 player, and it's 1-16 base. Not dash, but it's 1/16 there. So it's the last 32 players in the field. Then it's going to be last 8, and then it's going to be the Now, you know what? I was just thinking about it. Apologies for that. This is the last 32. I got that one confused. I was still thinking we're in the first round because I counted that one as qualifying. Yes, the next one is going to be the last 16 there. So, certainly there for it. And as I say, the last match is going to be up against Stephen Maguire there, because he's the player that he's got himself booked into that match. This is the fastest I've ever seen Ronnie. No, I wouldn't say that. No, I wouldn't say it. I've seen him a lot of the time there, but I certainly wouldn't say that about Ronnie. I think he's been in fine shape. I think he's had a lot of the time that he's found it a little bit difficult for himself in terms of, as he said, he was struggling to get himself into the rhythm. And as soon as he managed to work out there, he was back to his normal self. And this time, Yao Pengcheng has got a better position that Ronnie has previously. Got himself into a little bit of a tough situation beforehand, missing the red in towards the right middle. But Pengcheng not necessarily making that pay for that shot though. He has to take the blue in towards the green pocket and has to play that one with a lot of power. Nearly fluked that one into the yellow pocket instead. But he's just going to end on that value of 8 points there. So Ronnie is still ahead by 2 points. Thank you. Yeah, so apologies for the confusion. So this is the last 64. Then against Maguire, he's going to be the last 32. And then he's going to be the last 16, last 8, and then quarterfinal stage. So the realistically what I'm thinking is, in terms of the draw, if Robertson overcomes all of his issues, as O'Sullivan comes away with a brilliant shot there to try and pot the red in towards the right corner, manages to make that one. Yes, I would expect to see Robertson clash in the quarterfinals, Jack Jones in the last 16, and then Stephen Maguire in the last 32 there. So there you go. Got all of those sorted. And just seeing. But Ronnie has to get to that stage first. I think it'll be a massive achievement if he manages to progress to the quarterfinal. You know, David Lilly, Jack Jones, Stephen Maguire are not going to be easy people for him to try and beat. And for now, he has to take a difficult yellow on. But what a wonderful shot that is. Not just getting the pot on, but also just getting a perfect position on the red in towards the left corner. What a lovely shot that was. And, well, I think Maguire is going to be the toughest of those three that I mentioned. And he's going to come in the next round there for him. The round 3 here. And he's just having a look to see if he's going to be able to just cannon the cue ball into the reds to make a couple of more of those available to himself. And I don't think that's going to be the case though, because he just tries to screw back into some of those reds. Obviously, having no intention of playing any one of them, but just trying to get himself a nice little angle on the red in towards the left corner, which is the one that he's trying to take on right now. So just play through this one, get a nice little cannon on the red, and push it into a nice little trajectory of taking the pink on in towards the right middle. And from here, I think you should take it away now, Ronnie. Only 31 points scored out of the 72 previously available. Make it 37 right now with the pink. And, well, he's got 4 reds that are going to be easy for him to try and pot. And that's going to be surely enough for a deficit bigger than 43 points, which is the value of points that is going to be remaining on the table, with only 2 of those reds still stationary there. Right now ahead by 20 points on a break of 18 points. So I think O'Sullivan has had a little bit of a dip in form in the third frame. I was really surprised positively to see him stringing breaks of 60 plus in the opening 2 frames, but this time it's a bad shot there. I was saying that he's got 4 reds available. Well, he just messed up at least one of those for no real reason. Made himself work a lot harder for the shot, and as a result, runs very short on the ping there. So 27 points clear. And it's looking like it's going to slip away now from the current break. Has to work hard for it. And just about rolls the pink in with dead pace, freeing up the red that I was talking about, but still landing himself very awkwardly on this next red, as he is not a fan of taking those rest shots on. We just have to sacrifice the angle there, and in the end recovers well. So just the slightest of angles this time around on the pink into the left middle, and get himself back down the table for the shot along the cushion into the right corner there. So 40 points clear. He'll make it 41 with this red. So the next colour is going to be the frame ball for him. And for whatever reason, he's tried to go for the cannon on the black. I don't know why. I mean, all he had to do was trying to play himself for the pink here, but all of a sudden he finds himself not being safe here. And as I say, any colour would have done it for him, but he has to do it the hard way. Tries to get the pink in towards the left corner, but in the end it's a brilliant recovery there. Can Ronnie get on the black? I mean, he can, but if you talk about a century break, he ain't going to have enough points for it anyway. So he's won this frame, does Reynolds, but he's not going to have a century break here. So there's not really a point in him getting for the black, but I think he'll try and do that. He's got a red on the cushion to try and roll off to. And then I think he'll try and use the black to his advantage. And just shake it on into the left middle. So I think he can manage something like 87 points, something like that. Still not going to equal His highest break of 128 points, but in the end he missed the block there, so 53 points will do him nicely as we head for the 15 minutes intermission break. RonnieOSullivan right now leads Pengcheng by 3 frames to 1, and good little tradition. Neil Robertson has managed to recover certainly against early struggles against Prix. He's now leading by, well, he's not leading by, he's going to equal it, 2 frames each, whereas it looked like he was going to be losing by 3 frames to 0 there. Robert Milkins has lost out the 3rd frame, but looking to claim the 4th one there. And Mark Selby is also finding it difficult against Mark Davies. He's currently trailing by 2 frames to 1 there. But the main action on table number 2 will resume in 15 minutes time, which is when we'll be back with you for more of the action from RonnieOSullivan and Pengcheng there. See you in 15 minutes time. And after a very, very quick break of 15 minutes time, we are now back to the main action. And it is RonnieOSullivan that has a goal straight away off the red into the right corner after a break-up shot. Let's see if he can make this one. Yes, he can, but the problem is he's lost control of the cue ball there slightly. And not going to have himself line up for the black. Yeah, looking really disappointed there with himself. Because, look, well, really, it's one of those shots that, you know, he can miss the pot there, but he pretty much never misses the chance to get himself on the black here. And in the end, gone for a risky shot there, trying to put the pyramid of reds in between the cue ball and the target red there in towards the left corner. Let's see if he's actually managed to execute that one nicely, because I'm not too sure he has. Let's see about that, as he just tries to roll up the red. And I mean, if that shot by Ronnie was poor, I mean, that shot by Yao is absolutely horrendous. I mean, if you put me on that table, I would not have played a worse shot than that. He literally has lined him up with a brilliant red in towards the right corner there. And all of a sudden, RonnieOSullivan is away now for a chance to try and pot the blue now in towards the left middle. Very cheap mistake there, but could be very costly indeed. So, one red is available now on top of these blue that he's going to go in towards the left middle. And the chance now for Ronnie is to try and get himself on the blue here, as he just signals to the referee that he wants that red ball cleaned. So, obviously spotting something. And, well, yeah, depends on if he wants to go for the black or the blue here. He can try and get the cue ball screwed up heavily there and get himself lined up with a nice little angle to send the cue ball into the bunch of reds. But he decided to do that from the black there. I think RonnieOSullivan is one of the few players on the tour that actually prefers to do the split from the black. But he can afford to do that because he's always so clinical with those. Is that going to be one of those instances though? It doesn't look like it is. Because the only option that I can see him going for is, well, he's got two really. He's got a really difficult red, into the yellow pocket. Or he's got one pretty much just as difficult in towards the right middle. And also has to bridge over a red. So, has to play this one with topspin. A lot of power and a lot of accuracy there as well though by RonnieOSullivan. It's a brilliant shot there to get himself lined up on not the most straightforward of blues into the yellow pocket there. And a lot of backspin once again to get the cue ball down the table. Lovely shot there. Has he got enough of the backspin? He's probably just about has. Still going to be fine here for a shot in towards the left corner here. Get himself lined up on the black in towards the left corner yet again here. And a lot of backspin. Or he can just try and stun the cue ball right now to get himself around the red. The Trump-Stevens frame looked like it was epic. Yeah, it was. It actually was. I mean, I wouldn't say it was epic. The match was actually epic because Trump was leading by 3 frames to 1. And Stevens managed to take it into a decider. But I'd say the decider has been controlled by Stevens, as Ronnie couldn't control the cue ball enough there. Tried to go for a split, but only got the red very, very thin there. And now has got the same red that he can try and pot, but there's a lot of distance in there in between the cue ball and the red. And yeah, Stevens was in control of that decider, to be fair. Trump almost never had a sniff there. So 38 points on the cards now for Ronnie if he makes this red in. Yes, he does. Is he going to run himself out of position though on the black? Probably yes, he does as well. So the fact that he rattled the red into the jaws, but the cue ball travel way more distance than he probably should have. In the end, he gets the black in, but once again, as he has a little bit of a dodgy walk there, just signaling that he's all over the place here in terms of his positional shots on the reds and the colours. He's going to go for a little bit of a wild shot to try and cut the red in towards the right corner, but he'll make this one, and look at that way the cue ball has travelled for the ball colours. That is by far the shot of the match here. Just the precision on the cue ball to get it past all of the reds and all the colours and just get it lined up perfectly on that brown. After I've given him all the work, all the talk here, he better not miss it, and he has missed it. So, I mean, he's landing himself nicely for the brown, but the problem is he had a lot of distance there, the cue ball to try and travel. In the end, the break will end on just 45 points scored for RonnieOSullivan, and Yao Pengcheng will step back to the table here, as he's looking to try and find some of the answers here. He had to find some of those in frame number 3, where he managed to produce a wonderful break of 55 points to get the brown in as his frame ball, to get himself at least a guarantee of a frame on the board. But doesn't look like it's going to be a lot more than that, because ever since we haven't seen enough of Yao Pengcheng, and that break was probably the one-off that we haven't been able to see him replicate so far in this encounter. So once again, we go back to the old safety battle that we've been lucky to witness, if you're a fan of that side of things, every single one of those frames. And the red can go into the left corner right now from Pengcheng. He can try and send another one into the right corner if he wants to, and the line is good, and the trajectory is brilliant there in terms of potting the red. But he got the cue ball safe, but he probably got it too safe, because he hasn't got any colour to try and pot here. So 75 points on the table, and the gap is now 45 points. They're all up in behind the green. It's probably the logical thing for him to try and do, as the referee just has a look to the crowd, just to make sure it's all under control there for him. And just a nice little gentle shot of this green in towards the middle. I say gentle, I mean, he's played that one with 100 power there, because that was absolutely the opposite of gentle. I don't know what on earth he was trying to aim for, because even though he's missed the green into the left middle, he hasn't left anything to O'Sullivan, apart from a chance of a safety. Absolutely no clue why he had to play that one with so much power. I mean, the angle on the cue ball was there. I mean, that was the reason why the shot was difficult, because the cue ball was always going to be heading towards the lower part of the table. But maybe he was trying to produce a cannon there, but I just think it was not the ideal shot for him to try and do that. And has he left the red over the right corner now for Ronnie? I don't think he has. Don't think Ronnie can get through to that red past the green here. And he can try and get himself lined up for a safety from the right-hand side of the table. But he still does want to go for that red. But clearly, just as a safety manner. And gets a really lucky close kiss on the pink, I should say. In the end, it's a good shot there. Well played there by Ronnie. And Pengcheng, he's back to the table. Still a reminder, can't just take those reds out one by one at this stage already, as he's 45 points down. Only 75 of those on the table. So if Ronnie is to eliminate 3 of those reds and get at least one of the colours in, it's going to be Pengcheng needing snookers here. But until then, yeah, we're still in the game here, as Ronnie goes for one more red to try and send it towards the left-hand side cushion of the table. Once again, gets a lucky touch of the green there, and gets himself very safe in terms of the cue ball position. He can try and go for the red there, Pengcheng, but because of the cue ball being so close to the cushion, pretty much no real way for you to get a guaranteed position on the colour, even though the black is very near to that left corner. But it looks like he has to think about that shot, and usually is a sign that he hasn't got any more of those to try and play. O'Sullivan still dominating the pool by 94%. Probably wouldn't expect to see anything else there when Ronnie's playing. And by the way, Mark Selby managed to even things out against Mark Davis. And Ishpreet Singh Chadha is still battling against Neil Robertson, 2 frame each. Barry Hawkins has taken a commanding lead against David Grace. And Xiao Xington finds himself on the brink of losing the 5th frame and making a 3-2 of a gap to his opponent. Mark Curran is currently struggling to win the 4th frame against Oliver Lyons. Ireland there with a gap of 2 frames to 1, not in his advantage. And Ronnie here has got one more chance to take the red along the cushion, but has to force the shot, as Pengcheng makes a mistake there and gives this chance to Ronnie. And he certainly, you would think he will take this chance right now. and make it his frame to lose for sure here. 53 points clear right now, and only 67 of those on the table. So a couple of more reds is all it's going to take for RonnieOSullivan to be nicely away and into the last 32 stage after being successful in the round 1 of qualifying and the round 2 of the main draw here. He just has a little look to see which is going to be the next colour for him to try and play. Surely it's going to be the pink in towards the left corner, or you can try and stun it to take it into the right corner instead, which is exactly what he's done. So once again, just play through the pink and a little bit of topspin on the cue ball. Gets himself 60 points clear with only 59 on the table. So it is now another frame to RonnieOSullivan and another couple of opportunities wasted there by Pengcheng. Could have at least have the frame gone a lot further than he actually has. And in the end, it is going to be RonnieOSullivan running away with it, it would seem. After winning the opening 2 frames, he lost one of those. And in the end, looks like he's about to win 2 on the bounce again here. Can he try and make it 3 on the bounce and make it a win of 5 frames to 1 there against Pengcheng? I think he'll certainly be the scoreline that O'Sullivan will be pretty satisfied with. And looking forward to seeing his interview, saying how badly he's played, how not happy he is with the way he's been queuing, but certainly has been enough to get him some of the great breaks of 50 plus and a century break of 128 points. As he's still not done with this particular break. Looks like he will be now though. As decent green for him to try and pot. Runs himself out of position on the last red. So it looks like he will be the break of 34 points. Unless he can find a shot along the cushion. And look at this for a shot. What a piece of brilliance that is. I mean, that certainly will edge ahead of the brown that he manages to pot. Even though it makes absolutely no difference in terms of the break for him to try and take that red on along the cushion. And to make that one absolutely brilliant shot there by Ronnie. So makes this break count for just a couple of more points. And the green will disappear into the yellow pocket. So now the brown for the 50 plus break. With it making it 50 exactly. And still a total clearance on of 68 points on the table there for him. But in the end, it ain't going to matter because he'll miss the brown. And it is going to be the break of 46 points, which is going to get RonnieOSullivan the lead of 4 frames to 1 against Pengcheng. The Rocket only needs 1 more frame to get himself into the last 32 stage. Clash against Stephen Maguire tomorrow. Very much looking forward to that battle. Should the Rocket progress to the next stage? Very much looking likely right now. And Robert Milkinson and Charlesington are still battling away for the last couple of reds on the table. Barry Hawkins has taken a commanding lead against David Grace and is currently on the break in frame number 6 to try and close off the match in a fashion similar to RonnieOSullivan's way by 5 frames to 1. Mark Cullen is scrapping against Oliver Lyons in frame number 4 to get themselves into an intermission, and Neil Robertson finds himself once again on the receiving end of things from Ishpreet Singh Chadha in frame number 5, behind by 20 points and counting there, as Ishpreet doesn't seem to slow down just yet, as he's looking to have another upset now after Watchalong has been eliminated by Matthew Stevens, and Ali Carter has joins him on the high-ranking seed that have been already eliminated from this tournament. And in the hands of Stan Moody, a brilliant match there by the two of them, and in the end it was Moody that managed to progress to the higher stage of the tournament. We're still having the likes of Ding Zhuwei, Si Xiaowei, Zhao Xington, Wu Yize, all from China, and still in this tournament. And looking forward to see if we're going to have a Chinese champion here this time around, because last time, of course, it's only the second year that the China Grand Prix is running in the format that it is. The last year was all-English final of Trump against Karen Wilson. Let's see if we're going to have at least one of the names that I mentioned of Zhao Xington, Si Xiaowei, Ding Zhuwei, Wu Yize, or any other Chinese player make it into at least the semi-final stage for now, and then take it one step further into the final clash with whoever their opponent is going to be. And until then, we still have to wait for frame number 6 to start off. There's not necessarily major updates there on the Robertson and Sington matches, but Mark Allen edges ever closer to getting himself 2 frames each there in his battle against Oliver Lines, the player that has managed to upset Watchalong previously in this tournament by beating him in Saudi Arabia Masters. And now we're back on the table number 2 here. RonnieOSullivan has a break off once again here. Leaves has a little bit of a tendency, a shot now for Pengcheng in towards the right corner. See if he can make it stick then, and clinically for him. Found himself on the black here. Certainly managed to get the shot in. And just about going to be all right for the black to try and take it on, but it's going to be a difficult shot there for him to try and manage. For the simple reason of the angle that he finds himself in. And, well, I mean, it probably comes to the point of, does he want to stay longer in this match, or does he want to just go for it and still have that feeling of, you know, potentially beating RonnieOSullivan? And he clearly makes his mind off just trying to hang in there and enjoy the time when he can, because he'd gone for the safe shot, refusing the black that was possible into the right corner. And Ronnie surely will try and take the aggressive side of things here very, very shortly. Until then, I think he'll just try and make it worth it by freeing up a couple of more of those reds, so that if he does get a clear chance of a position, at least he's got a couple of those reds to try and deal with himself with. Yeah, Pengcheng will join him in that pursuit, as he's got one of the lonely reds to try and push towards the right corner pocket, and in the end he makes this one. So he not only was very close there, but he manages to put another red. But does he land himself on the colour here is the big question. I think he does just about there on the yellow. He always has a backup option of just trying to roll up to the brown, but I don't think it's going to matter massively in the way the position currently is set up. So I would probably say just take the brown in towards the left corner, which is exactly what he's done. So clearly going for the aggressive approach, and hope he has worked out for him, because he's got a wonderful brown. And what a shot this is. I mean, that is certainly on the verge of equaling that shot of O'Sullivan in the previous frame of rolling the red along the cushion, but that meant nothing to Ronnie. And this shot could set up Xi'An now for a successful frame number 6 campaign, as he's now bound to end up on the black zone if he does spot this red and gets the cue ball into the safe area. It's a nice shot there for him. So far making it look very difficult, but he's still in this match and he's still in this frame. Has to make sure he doesn't make any silly errors though. Surely the cue ball will be sent in towards the bunch of reds. A lot of backspin needed and a lot of force needed for him to try and free up at least a couple of those reds. And it's a nice shot there for him. It's 14 points scored, 13 on the current break. And Pengcheng can try and take this red now into the right corner. Just try and play through this shot here. Get himself lined up for the blue. And he's got enough power on it, but yeah, I think he'll be disappointed with that. But I mean, I say that, he's going to be alright to take the blue into the left corner. He could have had a lot easier of a shot, which is just take it down the line and into the middle. But instead, he has to take it with a rest shot and do it the hard way. Still has got at least one of the reds try and line himself up with. As he just checks to see if there's going to be any more reds available to him after this one. So patience. And it's good to see him still taking it very seriously and just trying to make sure he's still got a chance in this match, as the blue will slowly makes his way towards the pocket. And it's a nice shot yet again now by Pengcheng. It's probably the best sequence of shots that we've seen from him in this match, of it being 19 points so far, but about to get on the black here. The zone that can get you a lot more points than the zone on the ball colours or the blue. And already eliminated 4 of the reds, about to make it 5 here, as he makes it into the right corner. And if he just takes those out one by one there, all of a sudden, it's only going to be 10 of those available. If he makes it 5 on the table, RonnieOSullivan will struggle to find himself getting back on the table there. It's another nice shot there from Yao. Gets himself on the black in towards the left corner. And the question is now, has he got any more reds that he can try and line himself up with? And if not, he's got a nice little angle on the black to try and send the cue ball into the cluster of 2 reds here. Not necessarily into the main bunch. But yeah, I said not necessarily into the main bunch. And within a split second, he's gone into the main bunch there with a lot of power. And in the end, missing the black altogether into the left corner. Turn goes to RonnieOSullivan. But Yao can count himself as the lucky man there because he hasn't given away an easy red in towards the left corner. Problem is Ronnie can still have a go at the one into the right middle. Roll this one in nicely, pretty much with no pace at all. And gets himself on the break this time around. That was Yao's chance. It certainly was stolen, I will agree with you. And he's had a lot of those. He could have won the opening frame. He certainly could have won the third frame, which he did manage to take on. And you go into the intermission with 2 frames each. Could have been a different story. But it's something for RonnieOSullivan just to bear in his mind. He hasn't been perfect, but so far he certainly has been good enough to get himself into a 4-1 lead against Pengcheng and could be about to make it a 5-1 win. If he makes it the break that counts. And once again wins the frame in a single visit to the table. As pretty much the trademark move of RonnieOSullivan. So far making nice work of the reds that were available to him. Once again has got one into the left corner. Push the shot through the cue ball there. Just about dropped the red in, but I think he's going to have the red in the way there of his hand. So could be bridging over. Yeah, making the shot a little bit awkward now on the black. This is missable. And he's missed it. I did call it. It was the black off the spot there from Ronnie, but because he had to bridge over the red, I just know how difficult those reds are for you to try and pot. And with Ronnie just getting down for the shot so quickly, you could see that he kind of took his eye off the pot there. And the problem is, he's missed the black there. And therefore, he's gone into that shot with the wrong angle. He's left Pengcheng with a difficult shot there. He manages to take the red. Once again, not perfect on the blue here, but it's still possible. Into the yellow pocket. And I mean, if that was the chance, he's got another one here for a 4-2 deficit to his opponent's advantage. It's now 7 points clear with 75 points on the table. This is winnable. The position that he finds himself in could be more than good enough there to try and get himself another frame on the board, but he has to take it on a colour by red now, and he manages to take the blue on though, so it's a nice shot to get himself started. One more difficult red to try and take on into the left corner, just not the best sort of angle for him to try and be potting this red. In the end he makes this one perfectly, and what I will say is this is an absolute golden chance now for Pengcheng to try and take this frame and make it a scoreline that will certainly be respectable of 4 frames to 2. And as I say, didn't think it was possible for him to go any further than 5-1 there. Could be about to prove me wrong here. But I mean, what is that shot? I mean, all you had to do was get the cue ball onto the cushion and generated some pace, and you would have had a shot into the left middle or into the right corner. Instead, he's got the cue ball pretty much stuck to that red. And I mean, can he play this shot into the left corner without sort of referee calling a push shot? Or can he just about get through to the red that I was talking about in the right corner? I mean, if he can, he is the luckiest player on earth right now, because that is a horrible shot that he's played. And let's see what actually will happen here. Nope, he wasn't on. I did say he was going to be the luckiest player on earth. And I mean, that was a miss and a half. That if the previous chance was his chance, I mean, that was the chance of all chances. It was probably one of those chances that you could say me or you could have taken more out of that chance than 12 points. Instead, it's going to be RonnieOSullivan back to the table. Is he going to try and go aggressive straight away and try and take the red in towards the left middle? Or he's going to go towards the jaw of the pocket though. And it's another chance now taken by Ronnie. So a sequence of mistakes there from both of the players. And Yao this time just has to play it safe. And just has to make sure that he doesn't give anything easy away to Ronnie. It's exactly what he does. Sends the red in towards the left-hand side of the table. And Ronnie goes for an old cushion first shot. And nicely done there, to be fair. Especially if he got the yellow in the way of that red for the left corner, which I think he has. And yeah, just about has. So the 5 reds that are on the table, all of them are possible. But the problem is trying to get on at least one of them. What is Pengcheng going to try to do here? He can try and send the reds towards the left part of the table as much as he wants, because the black is going to be there covering the pocket. But it's a really nice shot there from Yao in terms of the cue ball position. I think he got the red in the way of another red into the left corner. As Ronnie just has a little look at the table, making sure that nothing going to be in his way. The long pots haven't been the longest side of his game today, and the strongest, I should say, the aspect. But this could be the time for him to try and get those out of his bag. And have one more pot is all he needs to get himself in a prime chance for a total clearance. So, I mean, that was a brilliant long shot there into the left corner. The black is going to be waiting there for him over the right corner. And this time, yeah, he cannons the cue ball beautifully into the 2 reds. That could have been an issue. No colours are going to be anywhere near cushions. The pink is going to be the only one out of his spot, really. And with only 10 points advantage there for Yao Pengcheng, it is looking like it's going to be the most straightforward of clearances for RonnieOSullivan. He's now 4 points behind Yao here, but it's not going to matter. He can be around 49 points behind of Yao with still 51 on the table, and he wouldn't make this clearance one bit tougher for him, just because of the way the reds are spread out. And the form that he finds himself in is certainly going to be enough there to get himself another frame on the board, and he's going to be the one that counts. So 4 points is the difference now between Ronnie and Yao. The penultimate red is going to disappear into the left middle, and all he wants is to see himself pretty straight. Yeah, straight will do on the blue, because the angle is going to be in favor of the black here, or in favor of the cue ball, I should say, to get himself down for the last of the reds, the last of us, as he now finds himself 10 points clear of his opponent, only 35 on the table. So a couple of those colours is all he's going to take, but Ronnie doesn't seem to be too happy with the red that he just played. Clearly doing a ooh sign with his face there in his mouth. But he's still alright as he pots the red in towards the left corner. Now, probably will try and take the pink in towards the yellow corner if he wants to. And as an alternative, you can always try and go for the blue in towards the left middle here. And you'll go for the blue indeed here. So, now 16 points clear. And it looks like it will be the brown that is going to be the frame ball. Something that Yao Pengcheng has seen himself do. Pop the brown is his frame ball, but he's going to be the match ball for RonnieOSullivan. And overall, the performance has been decent from Ronnie. I don't think he had to get out of the second gear there throughout the majority of this match. Got a century in the second frame, which was pretty nice. But apart from that, it was a steady performance, getting the breaks off. A couple of 60-plus breaks there in the making. And, well, could be about to make it one more here. As he certainly will get the match point here for him. 25 points clear, only 18 on the table. As he just rolls the blue in towards the right middle. Certainly is going to be GG's there. So 30 points clear. Still can go for a total clearance of 61 points if he wants to. But as he's got a little tendency of not bothering about the black. And is the cue ball going to find the pocket once again here? It's not going to do that, but Ronnie's not going to bother with the black. So it's going to be break of 54 points to get himself into the last 32 match against Stephen Maguire. Certainly looking forward to that. I think he'll be the first real challenge for RonnieOSullivan since his way back. But right here, right now, it is RonnieOSullivan 5, Yao Pengcheng 1. As Ronnie waves to the crowd, and he's going to exit the arena. And for one last time, I'll just let you know how the other matches are doing. You've got Mark Cullen equally in the scoreline with Oliver Lyons. Neil Robertson is now battling in the 6th frame as he's finding himself losing by 3 frames to 2. Mark Selby has got a scoreline of 2 frames each with Mark Davies, and he's currently on the break as well. And Robert Milkins is about to make it a 4-2 of a gap against Zhao Xington. The world champion could be on the verge of being relegated from the tournament. And yeah, Ronnie Maguire sounds like a massive classic from the times of old. We're going to see who's going to come out on top though, as the match is going to take place tomorrow. And until then, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all around. Well, maybe for RonnieOSullivan Stephen Maguire match. Feel free to tune in for that one. And that will be it for the current broadcast though. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you around soon.